Presente.
Carlos,
Presente.
Ilse, Ilse,
Presente.
muy bien. Charlene, Charlene,
Presente.
muy bien. Jesús,
Presente.
Hermani, muy bien. Y Kevin Yupa.
Presente.
Muy bien, Kevin. Ok, entonces solo tengo a Yurleni y a Joshua. Vamos a ver qué pasa después. ¿Qué sucede?
C4.
Bien, chicos, vamos a ir a ver las noticias de hoy. En una cita final.
We're always thankful to have you watching. We return to Myanmar today, an Asian country also known as Burma. A military coup took place there a month ago, and protests have been welling up ever since. A Burmese military commander has said troops have been using minimal force when confronting protesters, but on Sunday, during demonstrations across the country, troops used tear gas, stun grenades, and according to the United Nations, live ammunition against protesters. And the UN Human Rights Office says that left at least 18 people dead and dozens of others injured across Myanmar. When the coup began, the military said it had removed and replaced the nation's civilian leader and 24 members of her government. That leader is Aung San Suu Kyi, and the military brought a new charge against her on Monday. It accuses Suu Kyi of breaking the law by publishing information that may cause fear or alarm. Suu Kyi's political party won big in national elections last November, but the military says the vote was fraudulent. And though it's promised to hold new elections to bring in, quote, true and disciplined democracy, the military has declared a year-long national emergency for the time being, and it has not yet set a date for more elections to take place. So the protests, some of which have been violent, continue, while activists have asked other countries to get involved in stopping the military takeover. Tensions between demonstrators and government forces have also been flaring in Hong Kong. This is a special administrative region of China. People there enjoy more freedoms than residents in mainland China, but the communist country says it is ultimately in control of Hong Kong. China imposed a national security law last year that said people who try to secede, subvert the government, or cooperate with other countries against it could spend their lives in prison. 47 activists were recently arrested under that law, accused of trying to subvert Hong Kong's government by organizing an unofficial election. But a lawyer for the defendants says the charges are a challenge to Hong Kong's fair electoral system and that they were brought without enough evidence.
The arrest of 47 pro-democracy politicians here in Hong Kong is sparking fresh outrage and fresh protests. In fact, this is the largest group of demonstrators that I have seen assemble since Beijing imposed its national security law in this city last summer. And all of these people who are out here are facing prosecution on a couple of different fronts. One, they're violating COVID restrictions on crowd size. And two, some of them are chanting slogans and holding up banners the police out here have warned could put them in violation of the national security law and threaten them with arrest and prosecution themselves. Just like the dozens of pro-democracy lawmakers in the West Kowloon courthouse behind me. That you can see a large group of police officers out here at the height of the protest movement back in the summer of 2019. But it is extraordinary in this time, with fear about the national security law and restrictions from the COVID-19 pandemic, to see a crowd that stretches around the block. A crowd level is growing, and so Hong Kong police cordoned off this area and trying to choke off the crowd to prevent people from coming here, warning everybody that if they don't leave, they can face arrest. Will Ripley, CNN.
A Norwegian whaler named Carl A. Larsen became famous for doing what? Designing icebreakers for fun into fuel, navigating the Pacific or exploring Antarctica. Larsen ice shelf in Antarctica is named for Captain Carl Larsen, who sailed to it in 1893. British researchers say an iceberg the size of New York City just broke off Antarctica, and despite the size of the new iceberg, they say they're not surprised by this. The has been monitoring it for years. Over that period of time, massive cracks have formed in the Brunt ice shelf, which is almost 500 feet thick. One of these chasms, these cracks, started moving toward another one back in November, and since January, they've been growing by about 1 kilometer a day. The BAS says the crack got wider on Friday, and that essentially freed the massive iceberg from the rest of the shelf. This happens regularly in this part of the world. Scientists say it's due to a natural process called calving, when chunks of ice break away from glaciers or ice shelves. They say it's not related to other recent calving events and that it's not related to climate change. What they don't know is what the iceberg is going to do next. They believe it could move away from the Brunt ice shelf or possibly run aground and stay close by. In the notably warmer waters of the North Atlantic Ocean, a 21-year-old British woman just spent more than a month at sea. She wasn't adrift, she was rowing, and she hadn't even been doing that very long before she decided to embark on a 3,000-mile rowing trip all alone. According to her website, which is called Runnerly Mad, 21-year-old Jasmine Harrison is a part-time swimming teacher and bartender. She's also the holder of a new Guinness World Record.
I'm not like just so spontaneous like that. If there's something big and I know it's going to change, like you think about it a little bit. I'm not a complete like very excited about any. So Wales, so lots of I took a picture. And in that one snap, I had 40 dolphins in one picture. I even had a little crab on my boat as well, which is I didn't expect to see that right in the middle of the sea. That's ridiculous. It's just so cool. Everybody just literally less than a foot away from the sea. Like the picture. So I had tried to picture of my boat, which voluntarily they follow me and lead me to my destination. So like every morning I sort of my hands to my hands. I'm like, morning. If boat will be away, you're gonna take a day backwards again. There's actually nothing you can do about that, and that was more scary afterwards. Oh my gosh, what if I can't row anymore? I'm not going to be able to make it the last 2 days. But then it was like a boat came really close to me, and that was more scary. That was in my control. I had to do something to get out of that situation. Actually, I'm going to use my radio, I'm going to use new equipment, I'm going to use flares, actually then row, steer, do this, do that, contact using technology, find out which directions bearings, all sorts. I'm thinking, I wish my hands would stop shaking so I can actually do something. And then think, okay, right, why did that happen? That was my biggest thing. Why did that happen?
Muchas gracias por las noticias, justamente los minutos que tuvimos, y es hora de que puedan ir a su siguiente clase. Pasen un buen día. Adiós.
Que tengan un buen día.
Gracias.
Mr. Logan, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
For school, are you guys gonna give us lunch over there or no?
Lunch is from 2 to bring your own.
Okay.
So last week, everybody, I gave you a quiz, and actually you all did pretty well on the quiz. But what I looked at when I looked at the scores, this was the most commonly missed question on your quiz from last week. So it says the Dawes Act created a new policy called allotment. What was the goal of allotment on reservations? So we have 4 options. We have A, to open up reservation land to be purchased by European Americans. B, to give more land back to Native Americans as an apology. C, to protect major rivers from pollution. Or D, give Native Americans more rights such as suffrage. So, I want to know right now, which one did you answer? What do you think the goal of the allotment policy was? So, there is the poll. I am going to full screen it so you can see all the options. Mark down your answer.
Target down.
So those of you who have not put down an answer, just make your best guess. This is an ungraded poll, so. Alright, so looks like the majority of people put A. So the answer is actually A. Remember, the goal of it is they wanted the Native Americans to assimilate, and any of the land that didn't go to Native Americans, they wanted to open it up for European Americans. Now, some of you might have been looking for the answer, the goal was to assimilate and make Native Americans more like white Americans. So, the best way to answer this question is, if you're ever doing a multiple choice question, it's nice to know if you can eliminate any answers. So, letter D, for example. We did talk about the women's rights, women's voting rights movement, and that they were getting suffrage, but we didn't really talk about Native Americans getting any rights to vote. Letter C, we talked about that Minnesota was wanting to protect rivers from pollution, but that isn't really connected to the allotment policies. And B, giving land back to Native Americans. The United States and Minnesota haven't really given any land back. So we know that those 3 answers are right, which leaves us with letter A. Okay. What we are going to get started with today, everyone, is we're actually going to be talking about World War I today. So if all of you could open up your Proving Loyalty assignment, it looks like this. And then once it is open, what would be a good loyalty symbol? So give me one of these heart guys once you have it open.